Oh, you're making a nest? You're making... Oh, sorry, I disturbed her from making a nest. Go make a nest. Come. Come lie down. Make your little nest. Okay, thank you for the love. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brianna Jolie. I am a spiritual teacher here on YouTube as well as a tarot and Akashic record reader. My dog Storm wanted to come today to this video, so don't mind her in the background. I'm sure she'll be decently pleasant during the video today. So today I wanted to talk about tarot versus oracle. Not really a head-to-head match, but understanding the difference of both. Okay, hi! And which one you might want to use and how to use both in your readings, just everything that has to do with tarot and oracle, how they play together, how they are different. Okay, should we get in the video? Should we get ready? So first I want to talk about tarot. Tarot is a very organized and structured way to communicate with spirits and to understand your past lives, your future, and your present. Tarot can help us determine certain time periods to predict, to understand our mind, body, spirit, emotional well-being, our mental well-being, our physical well-being, and our spiritual well-being as we move forward in different phases or courses of our life that we are concerned about or want better insight on. So for example, tarot is really great to go to get more in-depth answers about your career, your love life, your spiritual evolution, all of the different themes that we typically want more answers to or seek more guidance on. As I was explaining, tarot is more structured. There are always, and I'm going to say always with like an asterisk because, I don't know, maybe there is a deck that I don't know about, but typically most tarot decks are 78 cards. They're broken up into two sections, the major arcana and the minor arcana. Major arcana tells us the big themes in our spiritual evolution and how we're going to navigate those. And the minor arcana are telling us our emotional, mental, passionate, and intellectual state of how we might be navigating through those situations or themes in our life. In the minor arcana, it's then broken down even more into suits. We have typically the cups, wands, pentacles, and swords. If you like horoscopes, we know that in horoscopes you are either a fire, water, earth, or air sign. Think of the suits as the same thing. Your cups are your water sign friends, pentacles are your earth sign friends, the wands are your fire sign friends, and swords are your air friends. Through the suits, it's structured even more by going throughout the numbers of the suits and also the higher suit cards. You have 1 through 10, and then you have page, knight, king, queen. Again, throughout this structure of numbers and higher suits, we then go in more depth about how you are reacting to certain parts of your life, whether it be your mental, emotional, physical state, and so on. So when you pick up a tarot deck, you're gonna find that similar sequence and structure throughout, which makes tarot really great if you want to adopt more decks with different moods, and you'll have a similar structure to play around with, a better knowing to then move on. Tarot decks also kind of come in easy to harder decks to understand. If you are an intuitive reader, that might not be as important to you, but if you are a beginner, there are certain decks that might be more useful to you, whether that be that they have card meaning titles written on them, like they give you a hint of what the card might mean, or the imagery is really expressive and can give you more hints to understand what those cards might mean. So tarot can be good for beginners, it could be good for intermediate, medium levels, levels. I also say like this because, like, who cares? As you can tell, tarot is very intricate, but it's also very fun, and it's cool how that structure plays differently in every deck. Some people take that structure more literally, and some are more ambiguous and mysterious. My first ever tarot deck was Spirit Song Tarot, and I chose it because I love animal imagery, and through my intuition and instincts, I work with animal spirits a lot. I also like this deck because on every card, not only does it tell you what the suit is or the major arcana, but it gives you key words on the deck to help you with that meaning if you're a beginner. So, for example, I have the Two of Acorns. If I was a beginner at tarot and I wasn't sure what Two of Acorns might mean, and the imagery didn't give me a lot of information either, then I can look below and it tells me insight and focus. So if you received a card that said insight and focus, see how that plays into your life, especially based on the question that you asked. With tarot, questions can be a little more yes or no based. In any type of card readings, I ask clients to try to stay away from yes or no. You're never going to receive a concrete answer that comes out exactly how you wanted to. Or sometimes it can, but that is very rare because we are humans, we make our own choices, we have free will. So whatever advice or what we might see that is going to come for you, you can take a completely different direction if you choose. So although it's hard to ask direct yes or no questions like, will I get married on this day, this time? It's better to ask more questions like, if you were curious about your love life, how could I show up better in my relationship? What can I do to better align with my soulmate? Those questions are a little bit more guided to a specific answer, but they're not a hard yes or no. So tarot, if you're looking for more specifics as well, it's better to go with tarot. Both tarot decks and oracle decks normally come with a guidebook, so at any time you feel lost or you just want to connect with the author of your deck more, pull out your booklet. I find these so great because every deck is so different. The author has a different intention. The illustrator has a different intention. So a great way to connect and understand what they meant and what their purpose of creating this deck was. You can easily learn it by looking at the book and reading it. Don't ignore the book. It's really important. Authors put a lot of work and time into them. I know I did when I created my tarot deck. As I was talking about the suits, people can be more traditional with the suits and continue on working with the pentacles, swords, wands, and cups, or you can find decks that are even more creative and decide to take another path with that while aligning with the similar elements and the meanings of the elements and how they work with the suits. For example, this deck, although it was a beginner deck, it does not have swords, wands, and cups, and so on. It actually has different symbols that pertain to nature. So, for example, crystals in this deck can be interpreted as pentacles because it's both earth energy. And feathers in this deck align with the same meaning and message as swords because it's air energy. The next deck that I did get along my journey was the Wild Unknown Tarot. This deck you'll find popping up everywhere on Amazon. Everyone is obsessed with this deck. It is a little, has more like dark scenes on it, which is why I don't really play with it as often, just because I like more bright cards and like delicious, homey, like cute cards, but that's okay. And I do pull this one out occasionally when I want like no BS answers. And then the last deck that I did pick up was Everyday Tarot. I don't have a really extremely traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck, and I still didn't feel called to buy one, so the next best thing to a traditional Rider-Waite deck was Everyday Tarot. I also thought this deck was fun because the cards are different sizes. They're not the traditional tarot card sizes, which typically tend to be a little bit longer than Oracle. And this deck was like mini, so I thought that was fun too. which means that I can travel with it more easily, and that's awesome. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to say about tarot. If you have any more questions about tarot, or a question popped up in your head as I was explaining tarot, feel free to leave it in the comments and I will for sure answer you. Moving on to Oracle. So let's chat about Oracle. Oracle is a great way to introduce people to using cards for their spiritual practice. Oracle is very free-flowing. There's not a structure to it. It's a really fun way to just begin tapping into your intuition or to heighten your intuitive abilities and get really loving confirmation from your guides. Oracle is a direct way to speak with your guides, angels, ascended masters, Mother Earth, warrior goddesses and gods if you connect those spirits as well and souls. And Oracle also is very influenced by the author and designer. Every single Oracle deck is so different, especially there's so many different authors of Oracle decks out there, and they really do have room to play with the meaning, the theme, and the mood of the deck, because Oracle is so less structured than tarot. Oracle typically comes in a pack of 53 different cards. Of course, we still have a booklet, and tarot cards typically tend to be a little bit thicker and wider. Similar to picking a tarot deck, when picking an Oracle deck, think about what you're trying to call in. There are specific Oracle decks that just have to do with love or money. So my first Oracle deck was the Universal Wisdom Oracle cards. This is definitely an older deck. It's either early 2000s or 90s maybe. Don't quote me on that. I haven't checked. Okay, yeah, so the first edition was published in 2002. Oracle's been around, Oracle and Tarot have been around for so long. It's so cool to see like the older style of decks and the more modern, newer decks are coming out and how they differ. For someone just starting out with Oracle and spirituality as a whole, this deck really helped me begin my practices. As I began to play a little bit more, I got into Oracle decks that were a little bit more specific depending on what I was trying to call in. I was actually gifted my second Oracle deck, which is the Desert Oracle by my friend Alex. She is a graphic designer, and her deck was inspired by the deserts in California. And her deck is really, really unique because I have yet to come across like a holographic deck like this. So if you haven't seen one either, check her out. Her box has the holograph as well on it. The next deck I got was the Starseed Oracle because it was after I discovered what Starseed family I came from. I was like, I need this. I use this deck every single day, if not at least every single day. And the last one I've gotten, which I also really love and have been using a lot, is the Divine Feminine Oracle. I was called to really work with specific female archetypes. I needed some like sacral empowerment in my chakra system. And yeah, these are some of what these look like. In my readings, I really like to start with tarot. I do full tarot readings so I can really deep dive into what my clients' needs are and their questions are. And then I like to end my readings, whether it be Akashic or tarot, with an oracle card, because I always say this, oracle cards are like a gentle hug from your guides. Depending on the deck, this might be different, but usually oracle cards just have really sweet, loving messages. Rarely you'll get a card that's like, it's not looking too hot, honey. No, that doesn't happen in Oracle. So I've always, without fail, received a message that was specifically divinely timed for me and just like made me feel so loved and supported. Tarot can, depending on the deck, can either be like a kick in the butt, like, hey, you need to do this, or be like, yeah, you're doing good, keep going, maybe you should do this as well to help you with that, are kind of the ways that I can also explain these. I hope navigating between the difference of tarot and oracle has been helpful for you. I know just starting out with cards can be a little confusing, but the more you play and the more you let your intuition lead, the more fun it's going to be and the more exciting it's going to be. But if you were curious about some of these questions that might have come up and this video has helped you, please let me know in the comments or leave a like, subscribe. I thank you so much for being here. If you want to book a private reading session with me, I'll leave my links in the bio, and I hope you guys have an awesome, awesome day.